And if you are so afraid of, making a mistake, or maybe not sounding the most intelligent, or whatever it happens to be, you're never going to move ahead because you're not trying anything. It's like, what do they say? If you're going through hell, keep on going. It's like, if you're making content and it doesn't work, keep on posting until it does work.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe and Taylor coming to you by way of fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, I say that every single time we start the podcast, Taylor, because I know you're not a big fan, but the Killers are very special to me. So is the city of Las Vegas. And UNLV and Brandon Flowers, whenever he introduces the Killers, he always says coming to you by way of fabulous Las Vegas. So that's my little, I need to show you, Taylor. I got an autographed Rob Loud picture of Brandon Flowers. Like it's awesome. I need to get it.
Dude, I got the same. Well, I got a Rob Loud, but Brandon's your guy. Like I kind of stuck at, I stayed close to home with the little Ronnie Vanucci just because of the association, but Brandon's in there too.
Yeah. Well, Emma, thanks for joining us. Taylor and I geeked out for a second on our love of all things Vegas and the Killers. Emma Pace is joining us. Emma, give everybody the Cliff's Notes version of who you are. Like what, I'm sure you have a Wikipedia page because you're amazing, but like what is the wiki Emma?
Here's my short story is transition from a broke DJ into a top producing agent. And that has kind of led me into my obsession with marketing, with digital marketing and with AI. And I try to figure out like, how the heck did I get to where I am today? And I think it actually probably all stemmed from my love of recording engineering. I'm hearing you guys talk about bands, so I'm right there with you. And I think that it's kind of like, everyone's like, why are you so into that? And I'm like, I actually think it stemmed from me I like patch bays and trying to figure out like how to make things work and like how to get this mic from here to over there. And, did a lot of music production and stuff like that. And that kind of led me into my entrepreneurial journey. I love the whole business side of DJing as well, getting booked gigs and trying to see where you can kind of like land on the bill and stuff like that. That transitioned me over into real estate. And I started, converting online leads is like really what like I'm known for. I didn't have a big, I was 25 DJing, like my audience was not buying real estate. I'll just tell you that. So I needed to figure out a way to convert a cold audience and try to do the digital marketing thing. And it worked really well. So converting online leads is like my claim to fame, I guess.
So are you from Toronto area?
I'm from just outside of Toronto. So a small town called London, Ontario. DJ'd here for a long time and then wanted to take it to the big city and took it to the big city and then transitioned and got my real estate license and sold properties there.
Now, when you say DJ, are we talking like FM radio? Are we talking like Cascade? Are we talking like weddings and bat mitzvahs? Like what was your experience?
like club DJing.
Okay.
Starting early and being an opening DJ for headliners and then transitioning into closing for the headliners and then headlining some sets ourselves and doing a lot of productions and stuff like that. So awesome. I did that for 10 years. Yeah, 10 years.
That is awesome.
I missed my calling in life. I should have been a DJ. I hear the money these guys make, and I'm like, dude, being a real estate agent is great. But can you imagine like taking someone else's music, putting a twist on it? Like, dang, I can't remember the girl from the Pitch Perfect movie. But anyway, she was like a DJ that would put a twist on other people's music. And then it's like throwing food at people like Steve Aoki. And it's like, he gets like a $2 million appearance fee. I'm like, why don't I do that? I could put a marshmallow on my head and just be that guy.
There's good and bad to it. It's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of people always asking you to go out. There's like the good thing is like there's a lot of relationship building, but like even talking about this, these are my original DJing headphones. I just brought them out from the graveyard to do these podcasts Did
you do the thing where you kind of hold the one side of it for no reason? Pretend like it's doing something.
You need it. You got a beat match, right? So yeah, 100%.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So you got into real estate. I find it fascinating. Anybody listening to this knows this to be true. If you've been in real estate as long as Taylor and I, there was a day where we had to hire a graphic designer. There was a day where we had to hire a copywriter. There was a day where we had to hire a videographer. There was a month, like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when we would have to have someone chop up our videos. But what's going to happen with this piece of content we're doing right now is, number one, we went on StreamYard. You joined from your house using or office using your camera. I'm using my camera. A piece of AI is going to take this video. First of all, we're live on Facebook and Instagram. Then it's going to go onto our podcast. Then a piece of AI is going to take this video and chop it up into sections for us to use in Reels. It's like the digital creators world has been overtaken. Like, I can't even imagine being an ad creator or a digital marketing specialist who used to say to people like, I'll get you on a billboard or I'll have a video created for you. And it's like, dude, I'll do all that myself. So what are you seeing, Emma, in this world now where, not to say it's great, but I've always told Taylor, and I think we believe, like, man, if we get 95% of it for free, as opposed to the 100% quality we would get for $10,000, I'll do 95% for free all day.
I'm there with you. I probably have a lower threshold. I'm like probably at 80-20, right? Like, I'm okay with it. I subscribe very much to done is better than perfect, because I just think people get way too far in their head about, like, I want to do all these things, and they make this grandiose plan and they're like, it's going to have this huge budget, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they just like don't get to it because something else seems like the shiny, sexy thing at that point. And so I basically subscribe to do it on some level, even if it's not to your preferred standard, to a point where you know that you can commit to it. And if you're committed to it and you've started to see results and you want to like crank it up and hire third-party vendors or outsource employees to help you kind of scale it up, I'm cool to do that. But like, get your proof of concept first, even if like the proof isn't, or even if the quality to get the proof of concept isn't like your exact preference. Like, just do it first and make sure that you're all right with it.
Well, and that's my early days of video creation. I remember most people hate him, but anyways, Donald Trump just went live on Facebook when he was running for president. And I was like, so my initial reaction was, dude, you're running for president. Have somebody come and film you. And then about 30 seconds in, I was like, holy crap, people are digging this. And he's just talking. So then I don't even know if Taylor remembers this, but I went live on my Facebook. And I was like, hey, everybody, it's Joe with the Joe Taylor Group. I'm holding in my hand a common checkbook. But did you know that this checkbook is the key to your buying a piece of real estate? I want to talk to you about your earnest deposit. And I was like, I got done. I was like, this is so stupid. And then I went to the gym the next day and somebody's like, hey, man, I saw your video about the earnest deposit check. I've always wondered how that works. And I was like, what? You watch that? And so we're just in this world. I love what you said. Done is better than perfect. Taylor, I know we've talked to Amy Youngren about this before, and she told me, like, Joe, my worst video is better than the one you refuse to create. So you've watched me over the years go through this process, Taylor, of just creating stupid crap and just trying to create a lot of it. What has been your big takeaways from like us going from, remember our billboard we got and our radio commercial we did? It's like, there's all this stuff, and now we just do it ourselves. Sometimes it's hard for me to see the forest through the trees.
Well, it's funny because when we started talking about Toronto, to this day, whenever I hear the word Toronto, my mind goes to a few different things. Like Drake's in there, and there's this kid, Anthony Bennett, that came from Toronto that was on the UNLV basketball team. But Craig Proctor was Joe and I's first real estate coach from Toronto. And he was like the number one RE/MAX guy in the world. And he taught us, I believe, what he taught us is what has been Joe's, like the catalyst, the seed that has grown into this monster mustard tree, this monster oak. But basically back in those days, he taught us to go on the classified and take out ads and say stuff like, if we can't sell your house in 60 days, we'll buy it ourselves. And it was just these little nuggets that you would say something so amazing and so extravagant that people would read it and call you. And we started building out these ads. But from that, what I've seen Joe evolve is he's taken this idea to be able to, the example he just gave, or something that's so obvious that he just puts it out there, and then people can, because he's so consistent with it, it's created a massive following. It's built up our business, our network, our lead gen. We've got the biggest, Facebook page for real estate in Las Vegas because of, I believe, that idea, what Craig Proctor taught, that is something that's so obvious and so simple, but it's just putting a little bit of consistency behind it and doing it. So I don't know, to answer your question, I think the thing that you do really well is you're consistent and you don't give a dang what you sound like or what people say about it or how annoying it might be in somebody's feed that isn't even a client of ours anyways. But I think it's just that
Right.
consistency and just embracing content and just putting it out there.
So Emma, correct Taylor if he's wrong, but a lot of what he's saying is something along the lines of sounding dumb is better than being broke. And to be honest, that when it comes to lead conversion, when it comes to content creation, unfortunately for real estate agents, that's the choice they're faced with, because all of us are becoming increasingly better at digital marketing. And digital marketing then drives people into a funnel that you can then, so there's all this, so many of the problems that exist in real estate are people worried about sounding dumb. They're worried that they're going to sound dumb when they create content. They're worried they're going to sound dumb when they're calling a lead and trying to convert them. They're worried they're going to sound dumb at an appointment, you face-to-face at a listing appointment or whatever. So what is your advice to people as far as overcoming the fear of sounding stupid?
I think a very good example of this, I'm not sure if you guys have seen this floating around the internet recently, but you guys are in Vegas, so I'm sure you saw the Super Bowl. And
Yep.
And Kanye had this commercial that is now blowing up, right? So basically, the Kanye commercial was just him doing a selfie video in the back of his car. No script or anything like that, okay? And he goes, hey, we spent all the money on the ad placement, so I didn't have any production budget for the ad. But just want to tell you guys, I got like some shoes, and you guys should go to like Yeezy.com. And it's literally the worst. It's like the worst production I've ever seen. He doesn't even have AirPods in. Like there's no mic or anything. Okay. He airs the ad on the Super Bowl, costs like $7 million to air the ad, which it's debatable because some people are saying that he targeted it just to like Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, he had no script, nothing. Like he sounded ridiculous. Yeah. And guess what? It's reported right now that he's made like $18 million off that ad. So so there's there are two ads that I remember from the Super Bowl. The Dunkin' Donuts one with like Tom Brady, and it's like the J-Lo one. That one was hilarious, very well produced, et cetera, et cetera. And there's how much money got spent on ads on the Super Bowl. I remember two. I remember that one, and I remember the Kanye one. And the Kanye one didn't spend any money on production. And we're talking about it on this podcast right now. So when it comes to like, are you going to sound stupid? Well, he ran the risk of sounding stupid. He didn't sound intelligent. We're talking about his friggin' ad on the podcast right now. Mm-hmm. And if you are so afraid of, making a mistake or maybe not sounding the most intelligent or whatever it happens to be, you're never going to move ahead because you're not trying anything new. Right. And like, that's just the reality of what it is, unfortunately.
So no, I love that. So Taylor, here's the issue. We live in this bubble where the three of us can just talk about highly basic real estate terms, practices, procedures. And like, it's in our lexicon. But because it's so commonplace in these conversations, we don't realize that consumers have no idea what we're talking about. And so there's so much content to be created around the very basics of real estate. Like I remember making a video about a lockbox. And I was like, hey guys, what's up? It's Joe with the Joe Taylor Group. I have here the most sophisticated lockbox that ever existed. Did you know when you list with us, you're 100% safe? No one can access it after hours. It records, blah, blah. And I had people like, dude, that was so cool. I heard about your lockboxes. That's great. And I'm like, it's like such a basic thing. And going back to what Taylor said, Craig Proctor, the brilliance of his marketing was do what everyone can do, but say it in a way no one's willing to say it. So Emma, what are some of as far as content creation goes, what are some of the A, B's, and C's for you? Like if somebody reaches out to you and you're like, dude, I don't have anything going. Where should I start? What are some of the basics that agents should be at a minimum in 2024 be considering creating content?
So I think, again, people get too far in their head around like, I need to make these, like I need to reinvent the wheel and come up with something that has like never been done before, right? So the first thing that we've been teaching is like, whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis, we're all having conversations with buyers and sellers, regardless. Like you're either calling your existing database, whatever. You should be a little bit more, I guess, conscious with the questions that you're asking in the conversation to try and get your audience to give you the content ideas. Like, why are you thinking of the content ideas? They're already telling you what content ideas you should create by the questions that they're asking. So to me, I'm like, don't do more work than you need to. You're telling me that you're having a conversation with somebody in an hour, right? Yeah. Okay. Why don't you ask them, hey, last time you moved, I know you haven't purchased anything yet, but like you moved out of your parents' house into a rental. What was the best part about it? And what was the absolute worst part about moving? Like, what did you absolutely despise? How do we fix that this time? And they go, I hired these movers and they dinged my furniture and they did this and they did that, or whatever it happens to be, right? And immediately it's like, oh, that's an interesting concept. Like how to hire the right movers so that they don't ding your furniture. And it's like, did that take me any more effort to figure that out? No, my audience gave me that content, a piece of content, and it was relevant and they were thinking about it today. And so the answer might be something else that's trending, like we just talked about the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. But I think people make it way too difficult to come up with ideas. It's like, just get people that you're talking to give you content ideas and be like conscious of that.
I love that. The one thing, go ahead, Taylor.
Well, I was just going to say, like, obviously, I don't know you as well, Emma, but I know Joe, it comes natural. It's easy. It's fun. It's probably sparks endorphins and just gets his energy up to make content, to post, to watch the reactions, watch what it builds. I get the impression you probably have a similar thing. So like for me, a guy like me, and I think there's a lot of people like me that do overthink it, that do script it out and it has to be perfect and like backgrounds and like, I've got to say this. And if I put it out there and it doesn't get at least 3,000 views on Reel or what on the Insta, then was bad content. And then I'm stressed for the next time. So how do you get past some of those? Maybe is there an easy, like, do these 3 things that would help somebody who's just overthinks it to just get started and to be able to put out content and get the ball rolling?
I think people far too often think it has to be video. And I think when like we automatically just default to content being video. And that's not always the case. Like there's a lot of people, we're here, we're comfortable, we're on video, we're having a conversation, and people are probably saying they're like, easy for you guys. Like you're comfortable doing this. That's not me. Okay, well, let's just do what you're comfortable with. Maybe it's a carousel on Instagram that's just image based. It doesn't even have your face on it. Maybe it's just 3 tips that you can put on your social that are, and it's like, you have amazing tips because you're a great agent, but you're just not comfortable putting your face out there. Or you're like, every time I record these videos, I got to do like 20 takes. And then by the time the 20th one happens, my gas tank is so empty because I feel so defeated. You know what I mean? Because even you just said, Taylor, it's like, Joe, you're great at, creating videos, and Emma, I'm sure you are too. I'll just be like totally transparent and honest. Some days I am. And some days I'm like, this is the absolute last thing I want to do is put my face on camera and make these videos. So you know what happens when I feel like that? I'm like, I'll just make a carousel because I'm not going to make a video today. And so I think for people to just get started, and like we kind of have alluded to it, we haven't said the word, but like momentum is a real thing. And oftentimes we don't transition our thoughts into reality because we put these fictitious barriers between the two of them. And it's like the fictitious barrier here is that it has to be on video. And like, that's not true at all. Like start with a carousel, and guess what? If it doesn't perform well, take that as an opportunity to improve and post again. But if you just stop posting, it's like, what do they say? If you're going through hell, keep on going. It's like, if you're making content and it doesn't work, keep on posting until it does work. You know what I mean?
That's great. That's actually Winston Churchill quote there.
Yeah, and I think it's a country music song. I'm not the biggest geek in the world, but I geek out about certain things. I started getting into AI and just goofing around. Like Taylor and I have a buddies text, and like one day I created AI images of all them based on some like little idiosyncrasies we know about them, right? Like AI is doing so much. Like even just, I think I paid for the upgraded Chat GPT, which gives you, a basic Chat GPT and also an image creator. And now they're launching a video creator. There's so much to be done there. Like you could literally go on to Chat GPT and just say, what are the 3 tips for home buyers in 2024? And ChatGPT will literally give you 3 tips. So ripping off and duplicating is a real principle. I'm not suggesting plagiarism, but I'm just saying if you need a spark, ChatGPT is a great place to go. People also searched for on Google. Like you could go buying a home in Portland in 2024, enter. And that's your general Google search term. But people also searched for is a gold mine because it'll say people also search for like 3 things I should look for when buying a home. How much does it cost to buy a home in Portland? How much will my closing costs be? It's like, dude, it will give you the content right there. And so I think part of the human experience is a realization that the things we are not comfortable with, we can find real easy justification for just not doing them. So like worst case scenario, if someone's not going to be a content creator, when, Emma, do you advise bringing in that kind of who, not how of like, I used to teach a Facebook marketing class in person in our office, and we would have people show up and go like, hey, just out of curiosity, like, how do I log into Facebook? And I'm like, hold on a second. You paid thousands of dollars to come here and spend a day with us in our office to learn about marketing on Facebook, and you don't even know how to log into Facebook. And I would usually say to them, you don't. You go and get a daughter, a college kid, whatever you want to do. So when do you recommend for somebody to just who, not how it over obsessing with howing it?
I think like if something as simple as that Facebook example is like, if that's the hurdle and you're like, this is a $15 an hour task, that is the number one hurdle to get me into like the actual content or the thing that I need to do, without question, you should outsource that to Fiverr or Upwork. And I'll admit, like I have been guilty. My dad's a millwright, right? So it has been always seeded in me, fix it yourself. Like we can do it, fix it yourself, right? And I've always subscribed to that. And it has been one of the biggest things that has held me back in my career until I realized like this is seeded in me, I need to fix it. So what I'll usually do is if I get stumped on anything, because I went the opposite way. I went like, I need to fix everything to I need to hire somebody to do all this stuff. And then when I realized was like, why am I spending all this time building out like a job posting and doing these interviews and stuff like that if I need somebody to like log into Facebook for me, right? So we go from like one extreme to the other. So now what I do is like my first line of defense is, hey, I'm stuck. I think this is maybe a simple fix. Why don't I look on Fiverr or Upwork to see if somebody can do this for me? How much is it going to cost? $30. If $30 gets me closer to like where I need to be with Joe, I'm spending $30. I'm not figuring it out. Right. So that would be my first line of defense of who, not how. Like if I think there's 5 steps in a process and I'm pretty confident I can do 3, 4, and 5, but the first 2, I can't get to 3, 4, and 5 until step 1 and step 2 are done. But like, I just can't figure them out. I'll hire just people for 1 and 2. And I'll take care of 3, 4, 5 myself if I'm confident on that. And then as you continue to scale and you have confidence with, like, we have enough money coming in and we can actually take this off our plate and we can hire somebody and we feel confident on this being a recurring expense or investment for our business, then we can do that at that point. But I think we need to like look at how many steps are in the sequence for me to create, for me to finish this project. Which ones do I feel confident in being able to do? And can I find someone to just fix those individual steps to get me to where I need to be to complete the project?
Well, it's like that old saying, 2 people can accomplish anything as long as one of them doesn't care who gets the credit. It almost, you could almost reverse engineer that to say you'll get all the credit when 2 people accomplish something, as long as you don't care who does the work. And that's the problem, right? It's like, I want the credit. And is it weak of me to not do it myself? My wife and I had this conversation early on in our marriage where I think she had this image of her young and and super good looking, husband out mowing the lawn when she came home from work, and it'd just be this great experience where when she watches this, she'll be mad at me. But and I said, like, I hate to burst your bubble, but here's something that I can promise you. I probably will never be the mow the lawn or take care of the pool guy. That's just not going to be me. But I'm the type of person that will earn the money to make sure our lawn is always mowed and our pool is always clean. And like, I've kept that promise. Now, the part of the challenge with that, though, was there's this pride around, like, I do it myself. And I think that is probably, in our world today, one of the greatest obstacles to entrepreneurial success is we have to put getting it done above our own pride. Now, whether that's our own pride of sounding stupid, our own pride of doing it ourselves, our own pride of getting all the credit. Like, one of my favorite things to say, Taylor and I were talking about this yesterday, if I can do it, you can do it. And like, in the world we're in, Taylor and I have created a pretty decent sized world of agents that we work with and collaborate with and whatever. And there's this prideful part of me that wants to be like, dude, I'm Joe, I can do anything. But then there's this other realistic part of me that when we were having a traction call yesterday, and I could honestly look at the person and go, like, I promise you, if I can do what I've done, you can do what I've done. And there's that moment of humiliation more than humility of going, like, yeah, I'm really not that great. But there's so much power in that principle of going, like, maybe great things could be accomplished even if I'm not the one doing it.
100%. And I think that there's a bit of a mindset shift, and I'm sure you probably even had this with your wife, where it's like, listen, in a perfect world, am I the guy that cuts the lawn, or am I the guy that does the pool thing? Sure. Like, in both of our minds, would that be the dream situation? Sure. But let's think about what's really more important here. If somebody else does those tasks and we actually get to spend more time together enjoying those things, yep. Is it more important that I finish that, or is it more important that we get to, like, just do the stuff together? And I think that sometimes it can take a long time to be able to, like, unwind these, I guess, expectations that we have of ourselves. But I promise you, like, and I've seen it, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Joe, it's like, the more you are able to continue to do those things, like, let those little things go and understand, like, it's okay that somebody else did that. Like, the work got done. It still took, most people's standards are like 80-20, like we said at the beginning of this. And like, everybody's alive. Everybody is happy. Everybody's surviving. The business is moving forward. We're still spending time with our family. Why does it matter? Like, what really is the most important thing? Your pride or your ego of, like, doing the work, or spending the time with your wife? And you're like, the time with my wife is the most important thing for sure, right? So, like, who cares who does the pool?
Yeah, and she would probably prefer me be outside cutting the lawn than hanging out with her, but I'm just fine. All right, so let's talk about this really quick. Yeah, she has a different opinion. Let's talk about this really quick, Emma. Like, you and Ryan, you coach a lot of teams, you coach a lot of individuals. What are you seeing in 2024 that people are doing right, that's working? What are you seeing that can be improved upon? Like, who's killing it in your world in 2024 that other people can look at and emulate or admire?
You know what's so funny? I've never even met this person, but he was actually a topic of our marketing conversation today. His name's Mark Wadden, and he's actually a mortgage broker in Toronto. And I think that he's doing marketing really well, because I think a lot of people are spending too much money on lead conversion campaigns, right? So running Facebook ads specifically to, like, hey, this is my objective is I want leads, is what we're telling Facebook. And what he's done is he's just run, like, a general brand awareness campaign, which is, like, very inexpensive to do. And I'm talking about the guy on this podcast. I've never even met him before. 6 months ago, I had no idea who the heck he is, but he's just done a really good job of marketing his podcast to his target audience. And, like, it's been valuable over time, and I've really got to get to know him, and he's just, like, a local guy in our audience. And he hasn't spent a ton of money to, like, showcase his ads. He hasn't even asked Facebook for anything. And so I actually think in 2024, we used to, like, I guess, I diminish the importance of brand awareness campaigns and be like, who's running brand awareness campaigns? It's ridiculous. You're wasting your money. Like, just go, like, lead conversion objectives. But I actually think the people that are running brand awareness campaigns are doing a way better job because they're playing in a blue ocean. Nobody else is running those ads right now.
Right.
It's actually what makes a big impact in getting people to know who you are. And I'm not saying don't have a hybrid like combo type of strategy. You should probably have a little bit of both, but I think going 100% just on like lead generation and going 0% on brand awareness probably doesn't work in 2024. And so I've really liked that strategy. And I think that we should employ it a little bit more because it'll probably save us a bunch of money and it'll get us more exposure. So I'm cool with that.
This is our talk to Taylor idea, Taylor. So Taylor runs our investment business. And we're like, let's create a caricature of Taylor and just need to sell quick, talk to Taylor with a little like cartoon Taylor there with a checkbook or whatever. And because you're right. Like if you look at the Joe Taylor group, we're doing more for brand awareness locally. But for the last 10 years, we've been a very, I say sterile, but just a very kind of like lead gen. Our ads are all lead generation focused.
Yeah.
I think there is some wisdom in that for sure.
Honestly, and like same with me too. So like, I'm just saying, I think there's a big shift and there's a big opportunity for us to save a bunch of money and get a bunch more people to know us, and nobody else is doing it. We might as well take advantage of it because I think it's going to come full circle this year.
Yeah. What are you working on that you're excited about this year, Emma? Like what's some stuff that gets you up in the morning?
Building a lot of AI tools. So you had talked about, ChatGPT Plus, the $20 account. One of the coolest things that comes with the $20 account is something called GPTs. So they got released in like October or whatever happens to be. But paying the $20 for ChatGPT right now is basically paying $20 to get a ton of software, because essentially what you have are any ChatGPT users are able to release these things, which are basically bots. There's some on there that like will write blogs for you. There's some on there that are like logo creators. And so if you're like listening to this, you're like, I kind of want to get into AI. You can get into AI way faster these days because people are just building these tools and making them publicly available on ChatGPT, me being one of them. Now, our tools aren't necessarily like publicly available, but the thing that's making me super excited right now is I'm building internal tools for my team to make our workflows more efficient. And it's becoming increasingly easier, a little bit of studying, and like anybody can do it. And so what it's been able to do from a workplace happiness, like if you were to ask me a year ago or 2 years ago, like, how happy are you with like the people that you work with? I'd be like, it's okay, but like my team's probably a little bit bigger than I need it to be right now. And like, are we all like dialed in on the same page? And like, am I like 10 out of 10 excited to work with every single person on my team right now? If I'm being honest, my answer would be no. But now what AI has been able to do has been allow me to compensate our core crew very appropriately, make sure that our core crew are truly people that I want to work with. Like everybody that I work with on a day-to-day, like I love them through and through. I want success for them. We're dialed in. And the way I'm able to do that is by allowing them to also leverage AI so that one person can basically do the job of 3 people while not feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, we think of it as a revolution, right? Like what you just said could have very easily been said around 1905, where somebody's like, you know what's crazy? I'm in the distribution of goods business, and like we've been doing it horse and buggy, and it's like good, but it takes me 5 horse and buggies. I'm buying this thing called a Model T, and it will basically allow one person to do the job of 5 people. We're so afraid of AI that I think what you're doing, that's really smart, Emma, and we're up against it. So I would strongly encourage people to get in touch with you. But it's like, if we view AI as a vehicle that is going to enable great people to do things at a much more efficient pace, that is exactly what the automobile did. That's exactly what the airplane did. That's exactly what the steam engine did. Like, that's exactly what electricity did. So it is a evolution of technology that will allow all of us that know at least somewhat what we're doing to utilize the tools to make our lives more efficient and more effective and create opportunity. How do people best get in touch with you, Emma?
The best way is Pace of Base. So you guys can see my handle right there. That's on Instagram. That is
Mhm.
absolutely by far the best way to get in contact with me. We do a ton of free trainings. Every single Wednesday we go live. We give away a ton of stuff. So if you guys liked what we talked
Love it.
about, and you want to learn more about AI or anything like that, completely ungated. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just like follow me on Instagram and we give away a ton of stuff. I hope you guys find value.
Love it.
Awesome.
I know Taylor already follows Asa Base. So
Oh.
Asa Base is an easy like.
There you go.
Dude.
Add,
Ace of Base, man, that they dropped some stuff that's just changed my life forever.
there you go. Just add a P and you got me. You know what I mean?
Ace, I just followed you right now. I'm
Love
surprised I never had. Joe usually tells me all the people that I need to follow, and I'm sure I just missed that one. So
That's all good. You're there
Yeah,
now.
it was. I sent him a long text, and he just chose to not read. Anyways, Emma, thank you so much for hopping on. I think
you, guys.
people, they really need to get in touch with you, because I think some of the stuff you're working on, I didn't know who you were until I did your podcast, and all of a sudden I was like, dude, so smart, like so brilliant with a lot of the stuff you're
Thank you.
doing. So I'm excited to keep building with you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
thanks, Emma.